Good evening, everyone. Welcome into your Strategic Business Leader class. I hope you all are doing well. So this is second class, second session for the course, SBL course. And today we will be starting with the first chapter. These are the notes you can see on the screen that you will be having. Very comprehensive notes covering like almost 100% of the syllabus. So there will be two volumes of the notes. Volume 1 will cover like section A, B, C, and D. And volume B will cover the remaining sections E, F, G, and H. Okay. In the last class, that was our first session of the SBL, I spent a whole time on introduction, introducing the paper, introducing the examiner approach, how you need to prepare, how you need to start, what type of skill you need, how you need to develop that skill, and all that stuff we discussed in the last class in much detail. Okay, so I would like to know if any student has a question from the earlier session or regarding today's class. If any student has any question, please, you feel free to ask before I start with the strategy area of the syllabus. Any question? All right, so you have no question, no problem. We are beginning with the strategy area. That is section C of the syllabus. If you look at the topics, I already have discussed the syllabus, like summary of syllabus in the last class. Section A of the syllabus is on leadership and change. Section B is on governance. Section C is on strategy. Section D is on risk management. I am starting with strategy section. Why? Because after learning this, it will be quite easy for you to grasp the importance of leadership and importance of governance of the organization. Okay, so that's why I follow this course. Let's start with understanding what strategy is. In its very simple meaning, strategy is direction of the organization. That is one word. If you want to explain strategy in just single word, that is direction. Or if someone asks you to explain strategy, you can say strategy is direction of the organization. Okay. Now, if you want to expand this definition, then you can say that strategy is the direction selected by the organization to achieve competitive advantage. So now we can add another word, okay, to achieve competitive advantage, or how the company will compete, because every company cannot achieve competitive advantage. Okay, so we can say that direction to compete in the market. You can also use this one. But my dear, there is no single definition of strategy, keep in mind, because there are numerous definitions. There are several definitions of strategy. Okay, there is no single definition. If you look at the companies around the globe, for example, there are a few examples we can discuss. For example, if you look at Ferrari, if you look at Bugatti, if you look at BMW, if you look at Honda, if you look at Renault, if you look at Mercedes, if you look at Toyota, Nissan, if you look at Samsung, if you think of Lux Resorts, if you think of Terra, if you think of Omni-Cane, if you think of like the Starbucks, if you think of Nestle, if you think of Ben and Jerry, okay, any industry, just give me the name and I can tell you the strategy of that organization. Every organization has a strategy. So don't think strategy something of low value. Strategy means that is something very important for the organization, because that explains direction. Direction means how the organization will compete, how the organization will compete and satisfy its customers. How the company would want to satisfy its customers. So if you look around, okay, even from the breakfast company, such as a company which makes the butter, for example, okay, or if a company that makes bread, breakfast bread, for example, every company has a strategy. They has a direction, because if there is no direction, you just imagine the company sustainability would be at risk. So my dear, strategy is very important thing which you need to understand. Now, so how do you plan a business strategy? How you plan a business strategy? A business strategy must take into account a number of factors, including the market. Yes, this is the point now, means when we are setting strategy of the organization, what factors do we need to consider? What factors, what like the important areas we need to consider, okay? So for example, when setting strategy of the organization, we need to look at the market, in which market we want to compete. There would be several markets. So for this purpose, you will need to segment the market. Segment the market. And there would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even there would be 20 segments of the market. A market can have, for example, 20 segments, and you want to choose the one. So which one you will choose? Of course, you will choose a segment where there is a space available. Space means either there is no player exist, or there is a very weak player exist, or you want to choose a segment that is growing very fast. Growing fast. You want to enter into that segment. For example, these days we see that there's a lot of focus on health and hygiene, for example, or health and fitness industries. There's a lot of focus on organic industry, for example. Okay, organic, natural, raw, these type of things. There's a lot of focus on these. So a lot of companies are jumping into these segments. Even in Mauritius, you might have seen in the supermarkets, when you go into the Jumbo, for example, or when you go into the like Intermart, you might have seen they have separate sections for organic products. Okay, there are organic spices, there are organic like juices, there are organic vegetable, there are organic snacks, and a lot of other stuff. Okay, so when designing strategy of the organization, we need to look at the market, which segment of the market we want to cater. For example, there are companies which are make only in kids markets. You know about that? There are companies which only make baby products. Okay, only making baby products. There are companies which only makes women products. There are companies which makes only like shoes. There are companies which makes only fashion products, makeup, for example. So if I ask you to list down few companies that make the makeup products, okay, so you can tell me that there is a MAC, then there are few companies in that list. But interesting point is that every company is competing in their own segment. Every company is competing on their own segment. For example, if you want to buy expensive products, you have the choice. You go to a Mado, for example, in Mauritius, Mado. Okay, you can have the Giorgio Armani makeup products. You can have Chanel. You can have the Gucci products. You can have the Louis Vuitton, for example. If you want to buy bags, if you want to buy shoes, one of the world expensive products, Louis Vuitton. But yes, a one bag from the Louis Vuitton may cost you $1,500. $1,500. A Gucci bag may cost you $2,000. But if you want to buy a cheaper one, you can have one bag for 500 rupees as well. Hello? Have you got this? My dear, have you got this understanding? All these companies are operating in their different segments. All these companies are operating in different segments. Okay, if you want to buy, for example, natural products, then you have the Body Shop. You can go to the Body Shop. So the Body Shop has its own strategy. And what is that strategy? They make products from the natural ingredients, vegan products, vegan and from the natural ingredients. Okay, that is the point of market. I hope you are clear. So when you are setting strategy, you need to look at which market of the market segment you want to compete. Next, competitors. After that, you will look at, okay, now who are the competitors in the market in which I am going to compete? For example, if you want to open your shop at Bagatelle, for example, okay, so you will see, okay, how many clothing brands are already at Bagatelle and what is their price range, in which range they are selling, and where is space for you? Where is space for you? Then there are other factors, my dear. There are a lot of factors we consider when we are setting strategy. We also look at the business environment as well. A business environment is a very broad term. Okay, when we talk about business environment, it covers several factors. For example, it covers the political instability or stability. It looks at the economic stability. It looks at the social factors. It looks at the technology. It looks at the ecology. It looks at the legal. It looks at the competition. It looks at the market. It looks at the customers. A lot of factors we consider when we analyze the business environment of the organization. Okay, so these are the factors, as well as the company structure. Yes. Now, these were the external things. When we are setting strategy, we need to look at external and internal things. So when we look at external things, these are business environment, because in business environment is external. We look at the market because markets are external. We look at the competitors because competitors are external. After looking at these, then we want to look inside. We want to look inside. So inside me, now we want to look at the strengths and weaknesses of the organization. Okay, strengths and weaknesses. For example, we want to see whether we have resources, we have skills, we have knowledge, we have experience, we have expertise, we have people, we have financial resources, we have capital resources to deliver that strategy. So these are the two things which we look when we are setting strategy. Number one is the external, number two, internal factors. So when setting strategy of the organization. For example, last night, Elon Musk has announced the acquisition of Twitter. Have you heard about that? My dear, have you heard about the acquisition of Twitter? Have you heard about that? Very good. That is strategy of the Elon Musk and his company. Okay. They have entered into the social network area. Okay. Previously, although Elon Musk is already very popular on the Twitter, but he did not own it. Now he has made an offer, and now the Elon Musk is going to acquire the Twitter. Point of discussion here is that this is a change in the strategy. This is a strategy. This is a strategy. Okay. Next, it should also be flexible enough to handle change. A strategy should reflect change. A strategy should reflect change. What is change? What is change? Okay, let's little bit talk about it. Strategy must reflect change. What is this? We all know that there are so many forces of change are outside. So many forces of change are outside. For example, let's talk, we say that there is a change, for example, compliance. So we need to redesign our strategy. There is shift, for example, towards more sustainability. Sustainable practices. Okay, so we need to change our strategy. For example, there is a shift in the technology, such as we know that increasing number of companies are going digital. So we need to make our strategy digital. Why? Because everyone is now going online. Everyone is going on e-commerce. So if our company is not going online, has a digital strategy, or also called e-business strategy, we may lose our market. In case, imagine if a company failed to respond to external change. What would happen? This is my question to you. If a company failed to respond to external changes, what may happen? Please respond. What may happen? If a company failed to respond to external changes, what may happen? There is a famous quote. Okay, what that quote is, that if the pace of change inside is slower than the pace of change outside, your days are counted. Your days are counted if the pace of change is slow inside. Okay, the company may lose its market, the company may lose its customers, and ultimately lower revenues, lower profit, and may go out of business, may lose its direction. Losing direction, it happens. It happens. Just imagine it happens to big companies as well. We will discuss all these situations in our coming discussion. So technology, for example, there is a change technology. So we cannot stay away from this change. We have to adapt. We have to adopt, for example, data analytics, for example. We have to adapt information system security, for example. So there's a constant change in the strategy, demands constant change in strategy. Okay, environment demands a constant change to the strategy of the organization. So don't think that just a strategy is something still. No, it is moving. Strategy is moving thing, not still. If still, that is a death of the company. Okay, I hope you are understanding better about the importance of strategy of the organization. Then there is some theory, for example, like planning and preparing a business strategy, therefore requires a strong skills in strategic planning and business analysis. This is another point, that it requires a strong skills. It requires strong skills in planning and business analysis, as well as good understanding of functions like as marketing, sales, and distribution. My dear, what you need? A changing business strategy for a changing world. A changing, I already have now spoke to you. I already have. Okay, that strategy is not something still. Strategy needs constant change to reflect the changing circumstances. So what you need? A changing business strategy for a changing world. Business strategy involves covering of the basics as listed above, but what is needed to formulate a successful business strategy today? The world is in continual change. Business is not the same today as it was yesterday. That is true. Business is not. Even if we compare just 1 year back, I am not asking to compare 1 decade. I am just asking, compare 1 year back, and you would be amazed how much change has happened. How much change? Just 1 year. Just 1 year. You can just compare with the 2020, and you would be amazed how much change has happened. Okay. For example, these days there is a Ukraine-Russia war. How it is affecting the whole world. Whoever has imagined 1 year back that there will be a war between the Russia and Ukraine, and this would disrupt the whole world food systems. So imagine now companies are adjusting their strategies. Companies are, okay, in the current scenario, of business world, businesses are shifting. I mean, they are adjusting. their strategies, adjusting their strategies. Okay. So business is not the same today as it was yesterday or what it will be tomorrow. So any business strategy must be flexible, adaptable, and anchored in up-to-date research. Okay, so I hope you have got now a better understanding about the importance of change in strategy. Let's talk about how strategies are developed. How are strategies developed? Process of strategy development. Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington model for defining elements of strategic management or strategy design, the strategic position, strategic choices, and strategy into action. So according to JSW, they are also called JSW. Okay, according to JSW, strategy making process involves following stages. Number one, first of all, organization mission. You need to set a mission of the organization, and mission is about purpose. Mission is about purpose of the organization. Why does it exist? Purpose. Once you have set mission, then you need to set objectives of the organization, what you are going to achieve, or what you need to do to achieve mission of the organization. Once objectives are decided, then you need to start conducting the external and internal analysis. So you will need to conduct three types of analysis. Number one analysis is called external analysis. It is external appraisal or external analysis. In external analysis, we look at the markets, we look at the customers, we look at the competitors, we look at the other external business environment. For example, we look at the political situation, economic situation, social situation, technology situation, ecology situation, and the legal situation. We look at the different factors of external appraisal. Once that is done, then we go into internal appraisal. Okay, so in external appraisal, we look at opportunities and strengths. Opportunities and strengths. We identify opportunities and strengths. Once that is done, then we go into internal appraisal. And internal appraisal, we look at the, opportunities and threats. Opportunities and threats. Once that is done, then we go into internal appraisal. So in internal appraisal, we want to determine the resources needed, the skills needed, the experience needed, the knowledge needed for strategy. Okay, so that is the internal appraisal. In internal appraisal, we identify what strengths and weaknesses our organization has. Strengths and weaknesses. So that is the second type of analysis. Third type of analysis is stakeholders appraisal. Okay, after this, we also want to evaluate our stakeholders. Who are our stakeholders? Who are our customers? Who are our finance providers? Who are the community, our staff, employees, shareholders, other finance providers, government, regulatory authorities? Okay, we want to evaluate all that as well. Okay, that is called stakeholder appraisal. So in stakeholder appraisal, we would like to know, okay, the key stakeholder groups, key stakeholder groups, and how they may impact our strategy. What are their interests? How they may impact our strategy. How they may impact our strategy. My dear, once that is done, then we will go ahead with other next stage of strategy development. Once we have done this internal external analysis, then we will go into the next stage, and the next stage is where we will look at different options available for strategy. We will look at what options available, what options available. Got it? What options are available? So we will evaluate each option, then evaluate each option. That is very interesting, to evaluate different options. Option 1, option 2, option 3, evaluate. We will look at how each option relates to our mission, how each option fits into our existing culture, okay, fits into our existing strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Got it? And then once evaluated, then we will make a choice. We will make a choice. Once evaluated, then we will choose one strategy. And once selected, then it is time to take action. 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 We will plan and execute our strategy. And after action, then it is time to review now. Review is very interesting. This area is related to about performance measurement of your strategy. Performance measurement, here you will look at how is our selected strategy performing. Okay? Is it successful? Are we successful? Is it success story? Is it what we had expected? Okay, how our strategy is performing. This is a very big question, very big question. How is our strategy performing? So here, if you think that yes, our strategy is successful, our strategy is returning what we had expected, that is a success story. Otherwise, you need to take control actions. Else, you need to take control actions. There can be strategy failure as well. Okay, all right. So let's talk about now how our strategies developed. How are strategies developed? Strategies can be developed in different ways. One way of explaining how strategies are developed is to make a distinction between three types of strategies. Means we are now going to look at the three types of strategy development processes. These are called deliberate strategy, emergent strategy, and incremental strategy. The three types of strategies: deliberate, emergent, and incremental. So let's start first of all with deliberate strategy. Deliberate strategy. Deliberate strategy is also called prescriptive strategy, also called rationally planned strategy. Rationally planned strategy. It is the outcome from a formal strategic planning process in which management, yes, my dear, this is also called this is called formal strategic planning process. So this involves carry out a strategic position analysis, identify and evaluate the strategic alternatives, make strategic choices, and implement the chosen strategies which are set out in formal business plan or strategic plan. So interesting thing is that this is called what we are studying now. This is called a deliberate strategy process. Okay, we already have discussed. This is a step-by-step process. A step-by-step process to develop strategy. Okay, so what is that step-by-step process? We already have discussed. Means first mission, then objectives, then external analysis, internal analysis, stakeholders analysis, then strategic options, then choices, then action, then control. Okay, that is called deliberate strategy, or that is called a formal strategy process. Okay, are you clear? Are you clear about deliberate strategy process or formal strategy process, also called rational strategy process, my dear? Are you clear on this? Okay, good, perfect. Your response is very important. Listen and remember, your response is very important. When you will not respond, this means that the communication is going just one way. And that is not good, particularly for me, because I believe in two-way of communication. I want response from you guys. I want active participation from you guys. Okay, this is a critical success factor of my classes, to keep you in the class, not just listening, but responding as well. So when I ask you to respond, this is your obligation to let me know, respond quick. All right, next. This is called deliberate strategy. Number two is called emergent strategy. Emergent strategy has become popular strategy in 21st century. Why 21st century? Because 21st century is the century of miracles. 21st century is the century of disruption. It is the century of virtual economy. Okay, it is a century of opportunities. It is a century of now, like Internet of Things era. Internet of Things era. So a lot of disruption going out. Okay, so this is generating opportunities. This is generating opportunities for organizations. How? Let's talk about emergent strategy. An emergent strategy is a strategy that is not formally planned, but which emerges in response to unforeseen developments and opportunities. That is the very interesting point. Unforeseen development and opportunities. That is big thing. That is big thing. Why? We can discuss on this point from two perspectives. Number one, those who grab those opportunities and those who lose those opportunities. Okay, there can be two options because trends are emerging. Okay, situation is evolving. So there are two likely situations: those who are active and those who are reactive. Those who are active, this means they have an eye, they keep scanning the environment, keeping an eye over the economic situation, or I would say an eye over the markets and industries. So as soon as they see a trend and opportunity, they pick that opportunity. And the other side, there are reactive who respond, okay, who respond to change, but that might be too late. That might be too late. Because if those who are already active, they have grabbed the opportunity, they might have the first mover advantage. First mover advantage. This is a term which you need to understand. First mover advantage. This is the advantage gained by those companies that enter into a market or industry first time, just like as Tesla today. Tesla. Okay. So we are talking about unforeseen developments and opportunities. Ideas for an emergent strategy might come from employees or fairly junior managers rather than senior management. Yes, it is also possible. It is also, so one side was that it is coming from external. The second view is that it comes from your internal side. Yes, your employees might have developed some unique skill. Your employees might have developed some unique product, some unique service. They have spotted a trend and they have developed a product to cater to that trend. So it means that emergent strategy or the opportunity either coming from the outside or generated from the inside of the organization. Okay, clear? However, once a new strategy has emerged, the entity applies the strategy consistently. A company might develop both deliberate strategies and emergent strategies together. Yes, deliberate means the step-by-step. On the one side, it is taking the step-by-step process, and the other side, it is also taking parallel the emergent strategy. And by the way, this is the need of the time of the 21st century, because you cannot rely on your deliberate process, because deliberate process is too long. It is time consuming. So you need to keep both at a time. You are consistently developing your strategy, but on the other side, you are also looking for the opportunities as well. So once opportunity you see, you grab that opportunity. Okay, got it? Here I can give example. For example, from Mauritius, I can give example. The example of Lux Cafe. I think we discussed this example in the last class. Lux Cafe is a classic example that Lux Resorts company, they spotted the opportunity. Okay. There was no cafe chains or that standard or that market segment was not present there. So Lux Resorts company, they spotted the opportunity and they grabbed that. Okay, they opened their first cafe, then they saw the success because of the quality of products, the quality of coffee, the quality of the sitting. Okay, they spotted the need, opportunity. So they grab that. And I think after Lux Cafe, there are other companies also jumping into the coffee segment. Am I right? They are also following a similar model or a copy of that model or something a little bit different. Because before Lux, there were few cafe brands. I think there was like at Bagatelle, for example, Mug and Bean, or there is Mug and Bean is a, like you can say, higher end product, higher end. Okay. And then this is my asking you, my dear. Can you please help me to spot the opportunity for Lux Cafe here, to give you classic example of how to spot opportunity. If we look at the coffee market in Mauritius, okay, there are either high-end coffee brands or these are hotels. If you have a party or if you have a meeting, you would go to the like Codin, or you would go to another hotel for coffee. That we can't call it as a specific cafe. We're talking about only cafes market. So there was Mug and Bean, but that is targeting bit above average customers because the coffee is expensive. Then this market, there is middle market. Then there's a lower middle. This I'm helping you to understand this. Upper middle, lower middle. Okay. And then there are rest. There was opportunity here. If we talk about the lower middle, for example, what do you think? Which coffee brands are there in the lower middle range? I think it is in Mauritius. There is a brand like name at Bagatelle. It is present in the food court area. What is the name of that brand? Hello. You no idea? Is it called Arabica? Artisan coffee came later. That is a recent. I think that is called Arabica Cafe. Arabica. Okay. Then there are rest. Rest mean these are coffee machines, for example. So here was opportunity, and Lux Cafe got that opportunity. They got that opportunity. So the point of discussion here is that emergent strategy comes from the opportunities. Okay. Next, these two methods of strategic development are not inconsistent with each other. There might be a formal business plan containing deliberate strategies, but the company's management might be willing to develop new strategies whenever unexpected opportunities arise, even though they are not in the formal plan. A strategy that begins as an emergent strategy might be included in a future formal business plan, so it eventually becomes a part of deliberate strategy. I can share with you more examples of the emergent strategy. For example, there is a lot of streaming, for example. Let's talk about streaming. Streaming industry. You might have heard that Netflix has lost its 200,000 subscribers, and it is expecting almost 2 million more, losing 2 million more subscribers. There are several reasons behind why people are leaving Netflix. But one of the reasons is that a streaming war has begun. Streaming war has begun. New platforms are emerging. New platforms are emerging, and they are developing their own content, creating their own content. You might have noticed in Mauritius as well. You might have noticed that now the local new emerging actors are coming and they are making short videos, local content, short videos. Have you noticed these kind of trends in Mauritius? Because when I was there, that time, the streaming industry in 2019, it was not much that level. But now the situation has dramatically changed in the last 2 years. 2 years, it has totally changed. So have you noticed the local content in Mauritius as well? Local content in Mauritius. Hello, where the youngsters, TikTokers, they are making the 5, 6, 10 minutes of the videos, and they are posting, they are uploading on their own platform. Is there this type of activity you might have seen in Mauritius? Is there any platform, local platform in Mauritius? Are you aware of a famous Nigerian comedy team? Are you aware? Hello? Are you aware of the famous Nigerian kids comedy team? What is the name of their program? What is the name of their program? Okay, so this is, we can see here that emergent strategy. I hope you have got clear now that emergent strategy emerges from the 2 sources. Next now. The third type of strategy is called incremental strategy. Incremental strategy. What is incremental strategy? It is a different type of strategy. Let's have a look. Incremental strategy is a strategy that is developed slowly over time by making small changes to existing strategy. Changes to strategy are not large or far-reaching because the management of the entity cannot see the need for any substantial changes. When the entity's business environment is changing fast, small changes to existing strategies are unlikely to be sufficient to ensure the survival of the entity. An incremental change might be associated with aimlessness and lack of strategic direction. That is a very interesting to read, to understand about incremental strategy. What you have just heard, then in incremental strategy, there is a different type of strategy where the organization is continuing its existing strategy, but making small changes to its existing. But it is possible that those small changes to the strategy may not be sufficient to the changes needed or changes happening outside. I just told you a few minutes back that when the pace of change inside is slow than the pace of change outside, then your days are counted. Okay, same problem is with the incremental strategy. Basically, incremental strategy is the 20th century strategy. It is not for 21st century. Why? Because the pace of change is so fast that organizations need to constantly disrupt and reinvent their business models. And my dear, we have seen many companies falling a trap of incremental, that is called strategic drift. Strategic drift topic is part of the SBL. This is part of the SBL paper, strategic drift. What is strategic drift? Here is the definition. When the entity's business environment is changing fast, small changes to existing strategies are unlikely to be sufficient to ensure the survival of the entity. And incremental change might be associated with aimlessness and lack of strategic direction, or the company may lose, or the business may lose its direction. That is called strategic drift. And if you ask me to give you the names of the big companies that became victim of drift, on the top of the list is Nokia. Nokia is considered to be a big victim of strategic drift. Okay, why? If you remember, or if you know about that, or if you have heard about, okay, that 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or even before, like at the start of the 21st century, till 2009 and 10, Nokia has ruled over the mobile phone market. In 2009, Forbes magazine magazine title, the front page, asking question, who will beat Nokia? In 2009. An interesting thing is that just within 1 or 2 years, Nokia was already losing its market. What happened actually? What happened actually? In 2007, first iPhone was launched. Okay, iPhone 1 was launched, and that was a big revolution in phone industry, because that was a smartphone. Nokia phone were not smartphone. Nokia was still using its old Symbian software, although it was making changes, but that was not a smartphone. Symbian. First iPhone was a smartphone. Nokia did not realize the change, although Google first contacted Nokia to use its Android version in Nokia phones, but Nokia refused. They thought, no, this is not worthy. And Ultimately, within just 2-3 years, Nokia got out of business. Same problem happened with the BlackBerry. Same problem happened with Kodak. Same problem happened with a lot of Japanese companies. Same happened with hundreds of other businesses as well, because they became victim. And if you look at the today, 50 top, or no 50, just look at top 10 companies. Almost 7-8 companies are from technology. Because these are the companies that has keep reinventing their business model. So here is the discussion. Here is need to keep reinvent your business model. And this also applies to us as well. We need to keep reinvent our skills as well if we want to remain relevant. All right. And if I give you one more example, because I have a lot of examples, unfortunately, no time. Another big industry that became victim of this is Swiss watch industry. Swiss watch industry. Interesting case. When first Apple Watch was launched, you might have heard that Swiss industry is very famous for its watches. Okay, whether it is Tag Heuer or Rolex, world famous watches are made in Switzerland. Philippe Patek or the precious timepieces. When first Apple Watch was launched, one journalist asked the Swiss watch industry representative that, do you know that Apple has introduced a watch, and how it would impact the Swiss watch industry? Okay. The representative replied that Apple Watch is just another segment, and that has nothing to do with our business. Our watches are has prestige. Our watches are considered as the generations watches, which go for generations. And we have a very different market segment. So we are not feeling any heat from the Apple Watch. But interesting thing is that just after 1 year, Apple had already snatched 30% of the market share from the Swiss watch industry. Then they started thinking, oh, we are losing, what to do? Then they also entered into the smartwatches. So then the Tag Heuer and these companies also entered into the smartwatches. But that industry is struggling. Why? There are other reasons as well. Not struggling, but difficult times ahead for the Swiss watch industry, because a lot of factors are changing. Anyway, so we are talking about drift, strategic drift. Let's talk about strategic drift more in detail. Implications of strategic drift. Many entities go through periods of relative continuity. When their strategies are largely unchanged or change incrementally, the situation can go on for a long time, many years. There is a risk of strategic drift in this type of situation when strategies are increasingly inappropriate for dealing with the strategic position of the entity. There are no changes or only minor changes in strategy when changes in the business environment, even though they are not dramatic, mean that different strategies would now be more suitable. Gradually, the performance of the entity deteriorates. My dear, that's a very interesting case. This philosophy also applies to countries as well. Also applies to, this is a now a very big advice for you, also applies to countries as well. When countries don't move and they are stuck in the past, that would be very dangerous. It also applies to individuals as well. And I have noticed it also applies to families as well. Families. Yes. The only point is keep changing. Only thing that can save you is keep changing. Otherwise, strategic drift would be the ultimate outcome. Okay, so all right, my dear. So we have discussed now so far. I have elaborated, explained in much detail to give you an idea about what strategy is. Okay, the 3 types of strategy development. I think this is sufficient for today because only like 2 students are there, and then technical topics such as external environmental analysis is there, so we can keep it for our next class. So for today, I think that is sufficient for you to learn about what is strategy, how strategies are developed, types of strategy development processes, and then I hope you have got now good understanding of how to develop a strategy. Okay, so before I close the session, I would like to know if you have any question. Any question from your side? Anything you want to ask? Do you have idea or any question? Hello, any question? Okay, here is my email address. If you want to contact me, you can contact me on this email address. All right, for any question, for any advice or any suggestion, if you want, you can feel free and you can contact me. MATLOOB Matloob ILAHI 382@gmail.com. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for joining today. Thank you very much for all your discussion and sharing your input. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope that this session would help you to understand about strategy. Today we have talked about strategy only, and little we have talked about other things. But in the next class, we will be starting from the external environmental analysis. Okay, then we will go on learning different models of external environmental analysis, such as PESTEL, such as 5 forces, such as Porter Diamond model, and then we will learn about analyzing and mapping customers and markets. Then we will learn about customer segmentation, market segmentation, scenario planning, forecasting future environment. Okay, so all these are topics for our next class. So till next class, it is time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening and take care. See you in the next class. Bye. Thank you.